Welcome to Coffee Conversations with Les and Paul, 30 Minutes for God.
A podcast sponsored by Piedmont Road Church of Christ and Ministry League.
We're here to discuss Bible topics just as if we were asking Jesus himself. I am Paul Spurlin.
And I am Les Sandifer. We hope you will enjoy our relaxed Bible-based discussions.
Thanks for joining us as we think about and talk about all those things we would ask Jesus over a cup of coffee.
All right, here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Boys and girls.
Boys and girls, be ready for the main event.
Here it is.
We told you on the last podcast that we were going to have a special guest. We hoped it worked out. We hoped it would play out the way we wanted it to, and
it has.
It has indeed.
We went coast to coast, top to bottom, side to side, to find the person that we bring in to talk about this topic.
And she's already laughing.
She's already snarking at us.
That's ridiculous,
awesome.
Man.
It's good stuff.
So who we have with us today, Paul?
Today we have with us Laney Spurlin.
Oh, well, okay, so we didn't have to go that far to find our special guest.
We didn't, actually.
Yeah, it did.
Luckily, she was in town and said, come on by, let's have a show. So,
yeah, so she pinged and said, hey, I'm coming by. And we said, hey, you're going to be here.
You're going to be on the
show. Might as well join us on the show. Say hello, Laney.
Hi.
Oh, I thought you were going to say hello, Laney.
Hello, Laney.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, so she is the product of Paul, right?
So, Laney, tell us something about yourself.
Other thing on the screen. Oh, there it goes. I'm sorry.
Something about myself.
Yeah.
I am the Paul Spurlin's daughter.
Oh.
You are whose daughter?
Paul Spurlin.
Paul the Spurlin.
Paul the Spurlin.
I've renamed him.
You renamed him.
I did because it's Paul the Apostle.
Oh.
And I can't, I say it's something Paul. I'm like, but I'm talking about Paul the Spurlin, not Paul the Apostle.
Makes sense.
I guess I could call you Spurlin Paul and Apostle Paul.
You could.
No, that wouldn't work.
When I was in the Navy, they called me Spurlin. We called everybody by last name.
That's just
my
military,
boss.
right?
That is
My boss calls me Sandifer every time he walks in. What's going on, Sandifer?
Oh, okay.
I'm like, it sounds weird, but whatever. Thanks to our sponsors, Piedmont Road Church of Christ.
And Ministry League.
Yep, lifeinchrist.com.
And ministryleague.com.
Lots of resources available to you. So as promised, we're going to take a little break today from our normal topics. We're going to still stay Bible focused.
And we're probably sitting here at the end of July with folks.
So we're working our way through summer. It won't be long. The special guest, Laney Spurlin, will be headed back to school. You excited about that?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
You like the summer?
Yeah. I do like the summer.
Yeah, Tell me why.
I don't like the unknown of what next school year is going to look like.
Oh.
So I'm kind of sitting here I know what my summer is. Well, I thought I knew what the summer was going to look like. Had a little wrench there in that one, but I don't like the whole idea of, I don't know who I'm going to have classes with. So I'm liking the summer.
When your plumbing backs up, sometimes you end up in a hotel. Life stuff.
Sometimes you do, and you don't know for how long.
And you don't know how long.
So it's fun.
Now, that being said, we're not talking about a physical problem.
No.
We're talking about, we are, but not a personal problem. It's the house.
The house.
It is it is a house thing.
We've been displaced for about a week or so.
Such is life.
But I told Dad, it's going to be a summer we always remember. We're never going to forget summer of 2024.
That's true.
You know what? There's always moments in life where we have the opportunity to do that, right?
Yeah, it's a memory. We're going to always, it's not a good one, but it's a memory.
It may be.
Before we came on the air, we were talking about things you've kind of experienced.
Yeah.
And we were talking specifically about church-related stuff.
Right.
But you're right. All of these things capture memories along the way.
And it's funny to think about that in the middle of memory. Be like, one day I'm going to look back at this and be like, wow.
Yeah.
Like it's
you can set a timing around other things that go on in your life based on the summer of 24.
That's right.
And we do it all the time because I can tell you things about my life that existed on 9/11/2001 because of the event that happened that day, or more personal things that have happened along the way. Somebody asked me the other day, how long had I been going to my chiropractor, for instance? And I could date it specifically to a job change. So you're exactly right. And we always have opportunities there. Tell us about some of those things in your life that you've experienced from From a church perspective,
when we talk about the journey, your journey, you're 16 years old, you're driving now, you're working now, you're adulting as a 16-year-old. You don't have to start timeline from birth to now, but what are some things along the journey of your life that you feel like was impactful, some of the things that we've done, been a part of?
I'm gonna talk about this, and honestly, my perspective on this has changed a lot. The move here, and I know Dad talks about this a lot on how much Piedmont Road has impacted us. That was good.
So maybe give just a flavor for somebody that's listening to this that doesn't know the Spurlins. When you say the move from to here, from where?
First of all, I've got to preface this.
Yeah.
This is not, I did not give her any lead-in notes.
No.
I didn't say brag on our wonderful church. I didn't do that.
Oh, no, and absolutely.
This is all her.
For the listening audience, she had no idea before 30 minutes ago that she was actually going to do this. So we didn't script anything. We didn't prep her for anything. Now we just got her in front of the microphone, and we're going to see what.
So anything she says
out.
cannot be held against me.
I hope we don't have to edit this later.
And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. They never told me anything at all. So I was like, I hope they ask me questions so that I know what I'm supposed to be talking about.
So now we've started you on that path. So tell us from where to where?
From Birmingham to Marietta is where our church is. We live in Ball Ground now. It was something that I was extremely nervous to do. I'd never left the state before to move, and I wasn't a fan. But it's something that I had to really put my trust in God with. And the longer that I was here, the more I was like, wow, all those prayers he answered in a way that I wasn't even expecting him to answer them in. I have such a stronger support system, and it's just like in the church. And it's like you don't realize how many people that you impact by just being open about your experiences. And like y'all were talking about the journey, just being open with just honestly the adults here and everybody here. I've just been I've just felt so welcomed and so at home. The longer that I've been here, the more open that I am about where I've moved from, what I've had going on in my life.
A quick thank you for the teaser, because we actually have a topic that's coming up probably 2 or 3 podcasts down the road about the concept of prayer.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that. But
good point.
To Laney's point about prayer is not always, it's always answered, but not necessarily always the way we think we want it to be answered. God has a bigger plan. Right.
Yeah.
And I think you need the listening audience and even our members probably don't know a lot of our history about the size congregations, the kind of people that we've actually churches. Not all of them.
The last one?
That we've ministered to or had opportunities to be a part of. Most of the congregations that we've worked with have been on average the size of Piedmont Road. But we did spend about 9 years in Montgomery with a 750 member congregation.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had about 70, 80 kids in the youth group. I was a youth minister there.
Didn't we have like 40 kids graduate one year?
It was 17, 20. Yeah, it was a bunch.
I thought we had it was a lot of kids. And that's what I grew up around.
Oh, yeah.
Like my whole childhood was based around going on these trips with this youth group. And I was like, and now it's weird because I look at all of them and I'm like, I'm the age that they were whenever I was growing up. I'm like, that's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it's experience.
And we moved from there to Birmingham. Back to Birmingham. We were there before. Same congregation.
Yeah.
I preached at Palisades before we came to Montgomery. And then we went back to Palisades to start Connections Ministry and figure that out. Congregation, it was about 100, I guess, 120, 140 actually. But we did different things, and of course that was right in the middle of COVID.
Oh yeah.
And
wow.
And that's when
that was hard for them.
It was hard for that eldership. It was an older group of guys and so it's tough. It was, and then Jake called and said, "Folks over here in Georgia, we come to church every Sunday, so come on over." I'm like, "Wow!" And we
didn't take a long break.
No, it was great.
It was great. It was a short piece, and then we
that was attractive to us and stuff. So
I'm thinking about something you just said. In his letter to Timothy, Paul said, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, conduct, love, faith, purity." And you're not really quite as old as Timothy was when this was written to him. He was a little bit older, but you made a comment about your age now relative to the age you were then when you were doing things. So in a way, you've become, at your age now, somebody that the younger kids are going to start to look up to, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way life works. Do you feel like as you've grown through this, that your experiences with your dad and the things, the path you followed, set you in a tone to be the example, speech, conduct, purity, all those other things? Because I can tell you from my personal perspective, before I let you answer the question, I have a view of you that's based on being around you. It's based on teaching you. And to me, you really do fall into this category of the example that Paul's talking about to Timothy. Do you feel that in yourself, that you're now moving into that role of being the example?
I do. I feel like that's been my life, is I want to, like, for the little kids at church, I love them so much.
Yeah.
And I want them to have that feeling that I did of, the teenagers include us. And we do.
Yeah.
Because that's really important for them. Like, just as it is for, like, younger people to talk to older people, it's important for those teenagers to talk to the little kids, because that makes them excited to be more like you. And not necessarily like, I wish I was more like them, but they get excited about the youth group. They get excited about going to church and seeing those people, and those people become mentors. And that's really important to those little kids, to look up to you in the church.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because sometimes when adults sometimes will say, you're the church of tomorrow. And not necessarily just to you, but to your peers or whatever. The reality is that is just not true.
Right.
I mean, you're the church of today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because eventually we're all gonna move on in life, and the old folks are gonna die off, and the folks that are now the church will continue to be the church and keep it strong and keep it growing. Yeah, very interesting. Paul was very specific in his admonition to Timothy and to the greater population about youth, but the example that we create and the things that we should do. So yeah, it's good to have folks like Laney and our other. I don't want to. She happens to be sitting here, but all
youth group is so sweet to those kids.
Yeah,
and they know that those kids look up to them, and I love that. I love seeing them sit together. Like some Wednesday nights, you'll see the little kids be like, go ask their parents, can I go sit with the teenagers? And it's so cute.
It is,
because they get excited. And it's important to be somebody that the kids get excited to see at church.
Yeah.
Usually we've seen, just in my career, we've seen where there's a differentiation between, the fifth grade and sixth grade group, and then the high school to college and college to adults. But it's not really that way here. I mean, it's very cohesive. It's very... work together, be together, hang out together. It's very unique.
And that's something that's
a blessing.
I mean, that's kind of morphed over time.
Oh, yeah.
In reality, when I've been around this church for all my life since I was 12 years old.
Long time.
So a long time. And spent a lot of years as the ipso facto youth minister with somebody else. Philip Goad and I worked with the junior high here for a long time. So we focused a lot of energy on that. We had a very distinct break in the age groups to give them something to look forward to. So the younger kids look forward to that group. That group look forward to the next group. But you're right. It has kind of changed over time to be kind of a more homogenous youth group from the ground up, and which is a good thing. I mean, we need to change as time goes on to be more adaptive to the things around us. So yeah, that's a great point. I had asked you, or we had made reference to before we started recording this, about your relationship to certain things like exposure, youth camp. So I'm going to let you just, can you remember and say the phrase that you said before we came on? Because I thought it was really cool.
The phrase that I said. I don't even remember what I said 2 minutes ago.
Let me lead into that.
Yeah,
for you.
help me out a little bit.
Something about being born into.
I'm not gonna. That makes me sound very humble.
Stephanie was was waddling up the stairs at Exposure Youth Camp because Laney was about to be
She
born.
was present.
She was about to be born. Everybody went to staff and said, "Eat the Mexican food. Get the nachos. Get the nachos. You know, and whatever it takes." The hospital's next door.
Spices?
I mean, I guess spice is supposed to help out.
Oh, interesting.
Supposed to push it.
I had no idea.
Though.
It didn't?
It didn't.
I
though.
wasn't born until
Not
2
in your
weeks
case.
later.
Do you like Mexican?
I do.
Oh,
in
okay.
fact, I
Well, that's good.
had some before I came here.
Stop.
Yeah.
Your dad won't do it.
No.
It was in my fridge,
Oh.
and I was starving.
What was it?
I had chips and salsa, and I was like, I needed to leave the
That's-
house. And I was hungry.
Yeah, but that's just like the lead into Mexican.
That's like the best part.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you
Because
like
get
queso?
excited. I do like queso.
Okay, because that's the next step with your nachos.
And guacamole.
Oh, guacamole.
Yeah, but it has to be made right.
You have to say it with the accent. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm said it wrong.
Guacamole. All right, sorry, Paul.
I'm
Go.
not even a part of this.
No, because
Exposure.
you're not a
The
Mexican guy.
best part of my life.
Is it?
It really is, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because my birthday's 2 weeks later, but like it's an exciting time because you have Christmas, exposure, and birthday, and like what a better time.
And you get
good
them
for
all
doesn't
together.
it?
Yeah.
Works good.
Yeah, that's very exciting. For the listening audience, I suspect most people that listen to our podcast are going to have a relationship to what we're talking about. But just in case you don't, Exposure Youth Camp happens every between Christmas and New Year's every year, same dates.
27 through 29.
27 through 29 in Huntsville, Alabama. It's a big event, 3,000 people, mostly youth, but a lot of adults get mixed into that too. It's a very,
College.
I can tell you I'm new to this, so I can speak from the heart that it's a very rewarding experience and enriching in your life. So for those that haven't had the opportunity to experience that, if you get a chance, you should take advantage of it. Yeah. And it's a different experience to sit in a room with 3,000 people, most of whom, as I said, are young people, and they are singing. Mm-hmm. It's a very cool environment. It's not an environment.
It's the biggest youth group in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, it's very cool. So what was it like growing up as a child of Exposure Youth Camp, so to speak?
You definitely don't get treated like a child. You definitely get treated as one of the workers, one of everybody else, one of the people that are, setting up and Lenny, go do that. Lenny, come here. I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's always been exciting, and I've never gotten excited about folding shirts before, but it's for exposure, and it's just so I love it.
You get the behind the scenes
I do.
view. Yeah.
Does it get
what really goes
exhausting
on
at midnight when you're still folding shirts? Sometimes it does, but afterwards, when they're all gone, or they're on the shelf at the expo shop. Go check it out, by the way. Stephanie Spurlin. Anyway, she would love if you go in and visit her at the expo shop. But no, it's really, I don't know, because you get to hear things. And especially, and I hate saying, but like, as Paul's daughter, you hear things. Because people are like, wait, you're his daughter? And then they just give you feedback. And it's just like, I don't know. It is, like you said, it's rewarding to see the impact that it makes on other people. And I want to go back to talking about the singing. When we're doing the atrium singing and hearing like the staff of the hotel come out, like I know they come out and they listen because they get excited to hear all those people singing those songs. And like you'll see them recording or whatever because they only get that once a year.
That's right.
And it's such a special moment for everybody. It's emotional. This year we didn't have it in the hotel, and I know they missed it. I heard some of the people at the hotel, they're like, we really missed it this year. And I was like, it was over there. Like, we couldn't leave. But I know it's so impactful for people that aren't even there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting experience, and you're right. Last year was different because it couldn't be done in the Embassy Suites atrium. And if you're not familiar with how that construction is, the old style built Embassy Suites had all the floors, the doors open to an atrium area, and that they've kind of stopped building Embassy Suites exactly the same way now. But this particular one was, how many floors did you say?
10.
10 floors, and the atrium is exactly It's a rectangle, but it goes all the way up. So you stand on the floor and you look up, and you're looking up 11 floors. It's not the only hotel chain that builds an atrium style thing. We have one at the Marriott Marquis that does something similar. But when that singing occurs in that Embassy Suites, I mean, kids are hanging off the floors. They're lining the area downstairs. So it really resonates all through that building. I was just putting it in YouTube to see how quickly you could just pop it up. Yeah. Okay. So if you just put Atrium Singing in YouTube, if you're interested, want to go see what this experience is, the third link down I got was from 2019. So it's there, and it's pretty easy to find pretty quickly.
I think that was the first year we did it, and I think it went. No, that's not true.
That was
that's not true.
Was almost
that was COVID. That was COVID.
That's why it was recorded weird.
Yeah.
No,
so anyway,
it
it's out there. There's one from last year, but it's a little bit different because last year had to move over to the
hockey,
the entranceway for the hockey.
Also,
pretty good.
Really, it was echoey. Do I miss the atrium? Yes, but I don't know. It looked like more people. I think it's because it was like more flat and it wasn't all the way up.
And they were all kind of squashed in that
it was
center
definitely
area.
more
Packed.
people because it's the first time we hit 3,000.
It was true. Yeah, I know. But
Well,
Now-
it was difficult in that environment too
some people didn't go
That's true.
because I was helping with security and I was kind of on a back hall, and there was an area because of the way this place was made, you couldn't get everybody in the big open area.
Right.
So some people bled over into what was more kind of like a restaurant area with a lower ceiling, and they weren't really as engaged. So it was a little bit trickier environment. I
Yeah.
liked the atrium setup better because everybody was in the mix. But you do what you do. Do what you can do.
So I've tried not to say much about this because I'm trying to let Les ask the questions because exposure is my baby, and you're talking also to another one of my babies. But I do something that is a little underhanded, but I do it for the good reasons. I place Laney in certain teams at Exposure Youth Camp because I want to find out how team leaders are doing.
Oh.
And if you've had me in your team, you
Now
were
the
great.
secret's out.
You were great.
And they don't all. Yeah, she's never come to me and said
No.
that person's really bad. And to be fair, I put her in. It's mostly staff. You know, it's people like, I mean, Frodo,
I know them.
Derek Moronto,
Yeah.
Justin Ewan this past year, and most of them probably knew her as a young child because we were together in ministry, but as she's gotten older, they don't really recognize her quite so much, so it kind of helps out a little bit. But as soon as they find out who
Doesn't
she
take
is,
long.
then
They're
it's like,
Spurlin.
oh, you're
And
a,
I'm like, ugh.
they see that name badge and like, who are you?
I will say, if my name badge is flipped over and you see it, I know it's flipped over.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in team time, I try my best.
To not show it.
Yeah.
Smart.
Hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So she kind of works undercover for me, but she also enjoys
I love
the
it.
team time
I
stuff.
do.
And that's the heartbeat of the program. But that's not the only program we do.
No.
What are some other things we've done that you've enjoyed and gotten something from?
This past year we went to Rush.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one. I had never gone to Rush before. I had
Where?
Rush is at Freed Hardeman, and
Okay.
I kind of want to talk about one of my friends for a minute that I took with me. She had never. I mean, I don't think she had gone to church before, but her family, has a lot going on. She doesn't really have the opportunity to go to church much, but she went with me to Rush, and I had never gone, and I had been to the campus at Freed because of Horizons and everything, but I was like, why don't you go with me? We're on break. Come on, we'll hang out, do whatever. She sent me this big old paragraph afterwards just telling me how impactful just my invitation to Rush was, and she was just like, I had never been a part of so many people. She said singing because we were in chorus together at school. So obviously music's a big deal to me. I don't know. It's just, it's a message and I love it. So, and she, same way, loves music. She was like that. And then I got to the lessons and she was like, everybody is so different in how they speak. But honestly, it's such it really makes you think on, and honestly, let's go back to exposure with how many different speakers you have and the opportunities to hear different perspectives. She was like, she's like, I didn't realize how much I was missing out on God until I went to that event. And she was like, I just want to thank you so much for asking me to go because I didn't realize. She was like, I am so blessed to be friends with somebody who gave me this opportunity and opened that door to God. And now she comes with me every Wednesday that she can.
Yeah,
because
that's
she just
awesome.
wants to learn. And it just, it was so, it made me tear
Is that
up.
who I met?
Yeah.
Just this last.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
that's
loves
cool.
it here. And we had some emotional conversations and she loves it.
It's opened a door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, and it's good to have that that kind of environment where it kind of takes the weight off you as the individual and just let the environment kind of help start the conversation.
And I'll say I brought her with Dad. We went to Dalton's. That yesterday?
What's today?
2 days ago, yeah.
Okay,
on
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought today was Thursday. Wednesday, we went to
Oh,
Dalton's.
no. We're recording. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
whatever
right.
day. Okay.
Whatever day of the week this is.
We went to Central Dalton.
And she was like, do you do this often? And I was like, I mean, I try to go with when I can. And she was like, this is crazy. And I was like, I feel so like everybody knows us. And I was like, well, welcome to my life. And she was just like, I love it because, and I say that as
Not true.
my dad. Stop. I say that as like everybody is so like they want to. You were speaking, okay? They're obviously going to want to get to know who's speaking. And that's what I mean. I was like, she was like, everybody's like over here, everybody's so nice in the like church and everything. And I was like, yeah. And that's what I meant. I was like, you go to a church and it's just like, they want to know you.
Thank you so much for reinforcing something I say to him all the time.
And he denies it,
I'm
it.
I'm like, let's go, come on, Paul, you know everybody.
It's not a bad thing.
I don't know
I wish I
everybody.
did. Oh,
Yeah.
I wish I did.
Oh, look, I was enthralled that I don't remember where we were. Somebody came up to me and I talked to him and Paul goes, well, I didn't know who that was.
I know.
I'm like, I had a moment. I knew somebody. But yeah, Paul knows a lot of people. But I mean, it's cool.
It is.
I can tell you I feel the same thing. I'm not his child. I am his buddy, but I'm not his child.
Right.
But I can tell you it is a nice feeling.
Yeah.
When you go in somewhere and I don't really know how to describe it, but people come up and talk to him and they see you associated with him, and that's a positive thing.
And they talk to you, it's a blessing.
It is, because you might not otherwise have had the conversation with them,
Exactly.
but as soon as they make the association to somebody that they hold in respect, high respect, then you become that by association.
Right.
And you will always have that as his daughter. You will always have that as a child of God.
Yeah.
When other people find out how you live your life and that means something to them, like your friend, that's super.
It was special.
Well, we're glad you came and joined us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a wonderful time.
I'd like to, if you don't mind, extend the show a little bit.
Yes,
There's
that's
one
fine.
more aspect I'd like to get her while she's here, because I know when we'll get her back.
Absolutely.
And I know this. I don't mean for this to get emotional.
It probably will. It's okay.
Are you people are gonna make me cry?
I know.
What?
It doesn't take much to make me cry, so just get ready.
And I know there's going to be a segment of our show probably in a few months, if not sooner, where we'll spend a lot more time talking about this, because I'm actually speaking on this next month at Piedmont Road. Talk about being the sister of
a child.
Of a Tyler. Of
Yeah.
a Tyler.
Of somebody that is on. They're both tearing up, so I'm just going to step in for a minute. And I'm
who's
just
on the spectrum for autism.
That's right. So we're talking about Tyler, who is a very special young man. He's 10 years old. 10 years old this week as we record this.
Right.
Now, when you hear it, it will have been a couple of weeks later, probably. But he is now 10. So we're asking Laney to kind of talk about the idea of being the sister.
He's grown so much. We've come so far.
Yep.
But talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
So I'm going to say this first. You don't realize how much people watch you as a sibling, as a child that's, in the house with someone who has autism. And there's been a lot of times people were like, you work so hard, or I'm so proud of you and so thankful for how you help your parents. And I'm like, we all help each other, because it's a teamwork. You have to. I love him so much, and I would not have it any other way. Like, I look at people that have, and I don't want to say regular, but like, I wouldn't want to trade him for someone who isn't autistic, because that's my brother, and I just feel like it has made me who I was, looking at other people and having that open mind as it's so special to have him to open my mind, because sometimes I'm like, I feel like I have it hard. I had to help him figure out things. Like, I'm not going to go into like details, but there are things that it has taken him longer to develop.
Sure.
And I have been so blessed to help him do that. Like, had something happen to his foot, and it was, me and Mom upstairs, and we were trying to get into bed, and she was like, I'm just so thankful I have you. And I'm thankful that I can be there for him because I know how much he needs me. Everybody needs someone like Tyler in their life.
It's a fair point. And
good.
For those of you that don't have interactions day to day with somebody that's on the spectrum, one of the things that's important to remember is that we want to say words like different or whatever, but the reality is Tyler, like all children that are deal with that in their lives, they see the world differently than we do, but that doesn't make them odd or strange. We just have to recognize just as much as each and every one of us see the world differently, so does he.
Yeah.
Or so does Noah Brown, who is another child we have here who is on the spectrum. My niece, Reagan Bystedt, they all see the world slightly differently. And I can appreciate Tyler for his unique perspective sometimes and things he does, but he will always speak to me when I see him. He doesn't necessarily, he's not around me enough to remember me all the time as to who I am. But yeah, so great feedback from the perspective of a sister.
I want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
Before I was on my way here,
Sure.
him and I were in my room. I got a record player. I didn't realize Tyler really likes the record player. So there was a Beach Boys song. And
I told you.
And he played it. And he was like, Lenny, let's dance. And I was like, we got to go. He goes, no, we're going to dance. And I was like, okay. So, because he could tell I was so stressed out. And he was like, we're going to dance. Okay. So we had it playing, and Mom came in, and she's like, what are y'all doing? And I'm just like,
wait a minute.
we're dancing.
What song? Okay.
Is it called I Get Around?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It is
it was
called I
that
Get
one.
That's a good
and I was
Beach
like,
Boys
I'm
song.
not going to leave
I
on
get
this one.
around.
Yeah.
Probably the best one.
And he goes, ooh. And I was like, oh, it was so funny. But
That's cool.
I was like in the middle of, and that's another thing, like in the middle of all that we have going on with this house right now, he was like, okay, Lenny, I'm going to go on a trip. And he's just so like,
Right.
so optimistic about everything. And it's just, that's another thing is you don't have time to be stressed out. I mean, Tyler.
Except Band-Aids. Yeah. He's not positive about Band-Aids.
He doesn't like the Band-Aid.
But he was just, he made the situation so like, okay, I feel better now. I can leave. And it was just, it was
that's
nice.
Little
Well-
Deuce Coupe. You
good
should
one.
pull out the Beach Boys' Little Deuce Coupe and see what he thinks of that.
Yeah.
I'll flip the record. I think there's more songs
Is
on
it
the
a
other
45
side.
or is it the big one?
No,
is it the 33?
it's a two sides.
It's like a legit album?
No, yeah.
You stick it on there and put a
Yeah.
needle on it?
Yeah.
What?
I got one a couple days ago.
We went to a place and
So you're retro.
yeah,
And I got Elvis records.
And you and Tyler are dancing to retro
Yeah.
records.
there we go.
You had to turn
Nice.
it up to hear it over the construction fans, but we turned it up. He could hear it.
Well, eventually those will go away and it'll just
Yeah.
be listen to the record with Tyler and dance the dance that needs to be
It was
danced.
funny.
That's very exciting.
I want to thank you for coming in, being
Thanks
a part
for
of the
having me.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
today.
exciting.
And that being said, in our listening audience, especially if you're members of Piedmont Road, you'd like to be a part of this, we'd love to feature you
Sure.
on our show. Come in and to tell us about your journey
Yeah.
and the things that you've been able to take part in when it comes to serving God and your family and our family here at Piedmont and
Yeah.
anything else. We really just want to feature people, Christians,
Yep.
and promote the good influence of what we do.
From our perspective, it's always about the spiritual.
Yeah.
And we're appreciative to Laney for giving us her perspective on growing up as the child of Paul Spurlin, but being involved in exposure and other things like that. So,
Stephanie's a big part of that too. We couldn't do any of
Yes.
it without her.
yeah, she, just for the record, she's otherwise engaged today.
Yeah.
So she probably wouldn't be excited about us pulling her onto the show
No, she would not.
unexpectedly, but
But we love her.
Laney
do.
took it like a champ, so
Absolutely.
we're glad to have her. All right,
For Les Sandifer, I'm Paul Spurlin, and with us today, Laney
Laney
Spurlin.
Spurlin.
Thank you for being with us for these 30 minutes for God, which went a little over. It's okay. No big deal. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Piedmont Road and Ministry League for being a part of this as well. We look forward to being with you over that next cup of coffee.